Hey everybody, this is Greg.
And this is Matt, and we are Record Mashup. We are excited to be here in New Year. It's 2021. We're coming at you with a new revamped. Actually, it's not new and revamped. It's the same show. But anyway, as I say, we're Record Mashup. If you haven't already, check this out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check out our YouTube channel if you haven't checked that out before. It's basically the same show, but you get to watch us do it. So, Greg, what do we got lined up for this week? What's our theme?
So this week we're going to be talking about cars, and with that, I will be discussing Sir Mix-a-Lot's My Hoopty. And Matt, what you got?
We're going to do Mustang Sally, and we're going to talk a little bit about the original version of the song, but more or less, we're going to talk about the Wilson Pickett version. That was really the most popular version of the song. Let's dive into it. Mustang Sally, love this song. I remember listening to it as a kid all the time. That chorus, ride Sally, ride. Just a great iconic line that really sticks with you. But the song,
and for that line, sorry, I know we're kind of getting ahead of it, but
yeah, it's all good.
Well, I was looking up about that. I guess the inspiration from that came from that like nursery rhyme or whatever.
Yeah.
What is it called? Little Sally Parker. I guess that's where it kind of came up. But when they're writing the song, like the original one, that's
my understanding is it was some kind of children's game, Little Sally Walker. I've never heard of it.
It's like a nursery rhyme type thing.
Okay, gotcha.
So I don't know, many people made it. I couldn't find like a source for the song. All that kept coming up was some Iggy Azalea song, and that wasn't really for me.
All right. Well, okay then. Yeah. So diving in, this is an R&B song that was written in 1965 by an artist who went by the stage name Sir Mac Rice. And Mac was the first person to record and release this song, as I said, May of '65. It charted well. His version did, but it was not the most popular version. The most popular version was Wilson Pickett's cover of the song. But a little bit of an interesting story to Rice's inspiration for the song. He was visiting a friend of his, Della Reese, who was also an American jazz and gospel singer in the Detroit area, I believe.
Yep.
And while he was visiting her, Della Reese was considering buying a new Lincoln car for her drummer and band leader, Calvin Shields. Well, Rice and a few of the other members of the band were teasing Shields about the fact that she was going to buy him a car and all this, and specifically a Lincoln. And Shields said, well, I don't even want a Lincoln. I'd rather have a Mustang. And what was interesting was Rice had actually never heard of the Mustang before because it had only come out just a year before this. And so he started teasing Shields. We all know the Mustang now. Classic Ford muscle car. But you imagine the car is brand new. You don't know what it is. Compared to a Lincoln, it was significantly smaller. And he started teasing him about wanting a small car. I'm sure there were.
Yeah, if you haven't ever had a Lincoln or been in a Lincoln, those things are giant boats. Like they're wide, they're roomy, they're long. Like they're big cars.
Yeah, I'm just imagining though the fact that he was teasing him about the size of the car. I feel like there's an underlying tone there. I'm almost certain that's what was going on. Didn't read that in the article. I'm just reading through the lines here, but I'm pretty sure that's what was happening. But anyway, but he ultimately the story and this conversation with with Della Reese's bandmates inspired him to write a song, which he actually originally called Mustang Mama. And what's interesting is Mac Rice was part of the early R&B, early artists that were coming up during this time, and one of those was actually Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul. And she was actually the one that suggested to him that he should actually name the song Mustang Sally, based on the fact that was the name that that he had used in the chorus. And so that's where the name Mustang Sally came from. So we have Aretha Franklin to thank for that. But anyway, as I say, Sir Mac Rice recorded the song in May of '65. It actually did fairly well. It actually charted at number 15 on the U.S. R&B charts. As far as I could tell, that was the only chart it made, but still 15 on the R&B charts, not bad.
Yeah, I don't knock that at all.
Yeah. So anyway, at that point, Wilson Pickett, he decided he wanted to pick up the song and do a cover of it. Released it less than a year later in '66 on his album The Wicked Pickett. And that's the version of the song that we've all come to know and love. And what's interesting is I actually found out that Sir Mac Rice and Wilson Pickett had actually sung together in a group back in the early '60s, the Detroit group called the Falcons. Never heard of them before. But anyway, the two knew each other, and I imagine that Sir Mac Rice had no issues with Pickett covering the song. But Pickett's version had actually also been produced by Jerry Wexler, who, if you don't know who Jerry Wexler was, this dude was famous music producer. He's actually the guy that coined the phrase rhythm and blues. I've never seen anybody else call him that, but you could almost call him probably the father or grandfather of R&B. So really, really knew his stuff and had his hand in a lot of big artists of the day. He did a lot of work with Aretha Franklin, for example. So great music producer. So that's kind of the backstory of the song. But let's jump into the lyrics. The first verse is really, I should say too, this is not a complicated song. The first verse is basically that Sally's out riding around in her new Mustang, and the narrator, I suppose you could say, of the song is basically telling her she needs to slow down. She's going too fast, et cetera, et cetera. And we already talked a little bit about how the chorus. So you go into the chorus and you get that phrase, "Ride, Sally, ride." And yes, as Greg said, it came from a children's game called Little Sally Walker, or nursery rhyme. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Like I said, I've never heard of it. But anyway, all she wants to do is she wants to ride around. Now, Greg, I don't know what your personal history of this song was, but I remember growing up, I always thought it was ride, Sally ride, the person who was the first. If you don't know who Sally Ride was, she was the first woman to actually go into space aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger in 1983.
I did not take it that way. I took it ride, Sally, ride.
Okay. Yeah.
I honestly didn't even know she was the first woman in space. So I feel like I need to update my history on
space travel.
Who's gone to space? Like, I like space travel and things like that. I don't really pay attention who goes up there. I would just like to be one of the people that does go up there,
Hey, you never know. Maybe with Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, they're the SpaceX and Blue Origin, I think, are the two companies.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Bezos is. I know, Elon Musk has SpaceX.
One day. Of course, I'm sure it'll be a ton of money. But probably. maybe after our podcast blows up, we'll be able to afford it. Anyway, but that was growing up. That was what I always thought the song was talking about. I obviously wasn't even born at the time when Sally Ride went into space. That happened before I was born. So when I grew up, it I don't know, seems logical to me. And I'm not the only one that thought this, because apparently when the Space Shuttle Challenger took off with Sally Ride on board, there were a number of folks in the crowd wearing T-shirts with the phrase "Ride, Sally, Ride" on it, which was kind of cool. So
yeah.
Anyway, jumping back into the lyrics, we go into verse 2, and this is where we get a little bit more backstory in the song. We find out that the narrator is the one that bought Sally this 1965 Mustang, and now she's not letting him, ride in it with her. She's off joyriding across town, and he repeats this line again that, you know, she needs to slow down and put her feet on the ground. Just this idea that, hey, you know, yeah, you're having fun, but, you know, take it easy. You don't have to go full steam. So that's pretty much the song on the surface. Now,
sounds like the guy who's narrating is boring.
Yeah. Well,
like,
okay, so
just let her drive the Mustang, man. Just let her go.
I think it's interesting. I think the meaning of this song is exactly what it is. It you know, especially knowing the backstory of the story of how it was written and so forth, and you know, about how, you know, it was talking about how this band member wanted a Ford Mustang. And I think it's just that, it's that, you know, someone riding around town. And I mean, Greg, you and I, we've both bought cars before, me more recently than you, but but you know,
that's
when
not
you get
that old. It's only 2014.
Yeah. For those that don't know, my wife and I just bought a new car right before the holidays. So, but anyway, but you know how it is. You get a new car, you want to go ride it all the time or drive it all the time. You know, you're excited about it. You know, you're wanting to, you know, learn all the new bells and whistles that are in it.
I got a nice speaker system in my car, and I wanted to use it.
Exactly. Now imagine you get a Ford Mustang, you know, or some other kind of sports car. Of course, you're going to want to take that thing out for a spin all the time. I mean, who wouldn't? So I think that's what the song's about. However, there are some interpretations that this song is about a woman who's running all over town and meeting up with multiple men, and that's why the narrator's saying, hey, you need to slow down, you need to relax, you don't need to be running all over town. So take that for what you will. I don't buy that interpretation, knowing the backstory of you know, the inspiration for the song, but that is an interpretation that's out there. So anyway, that's the song.
Yeah. Pretty simple song. I feel like this is a common theme over the past couple of episodes we've done. We've picked some pretty simple songs.
Yeah, there's not a lot of complexity to them, but
yeah,
I don't know, but they're still good songs. They're catchy. I don't know. I just think this is a fun song.
Yeah, you don't need a lot of complexity to the songs.
No, I don't think
for it
so.
To be
either.
like good.
Exactly. And I think musically, you know, we don't always talk about, you know, the instrumentation or anything of songs, but it's this is different, I think, from other songs we've done. It's a rhythm and blues song. It's not very, it doesn't have a lot of depth to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a music expert. We've talked about that before, but it doesn't feel like there's a lot of instrumentation to it. It feels very easy going. It's just a feel good song.
Yeah, it's just a really mellow song.
Yeah, absolutely. So we already mentioned how Rice is the writer of the song. His version charted 15 on the R&B charts, but Pickett's version, the famous version, actually hit number 6 on the R&B charts and number 23 on the pop charts. So it actually crossed over. And it hit number 4 in Canada and number 28 in the UK. But this song has had a lot of accolades. The song was actually inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2000. Rolling Stone in 2004 listed it at number 434 on its list of 500 greatest songs of all time. Although they did bump it up or drop it, I suppose, to 441 when they updated the list in 2010. But still on the list of 500 greatest songs of all time, according to Rolling Stones.
Yeah, how many songs can you say you have on 500 greatest songs of all time? 0.
So definitely they got a one up on us there. Yeah. But yeah, the song has been shown in several TV shows, and it was covered by the band The Commitments in the film called The Commitments, which I've never heard of. But anyway, so yeah, great song. Side note, Greg. So the Ford Mustang introduced at the New York World's Fair the year before the song came out, April 17th, 1964. Do you know what its starting price was in 1964?
7,000.
No, much less actually. A little less than
3,000.
2,400.
2,400.
Yeah. So in 1964, you could have bought a Ford Mustang for a little less than $2,400.
I feel like that's how much it should be now, because like I don't know about you, but me growing up, like literally everyone had a Mustang because they thought they're like hot shots in the town. They're like, oh man, I got a Mustang, and like, I mean, they're like newer Mustangs. It's not like they're the old muscle car Mustangs. So it's like those old 2000 ones that I didn't think were very impressive or anything. Like newer Mustangs and the old muscle car Mustangs, love them. The old like 2000s Mustangs, kind of they're like the Toyota Camry of the 2000s because like everyone owned one. By the way, I own a Toyota Camry and I love it. So
don't knock on Toyota.
Don't knock on Toyota and the Camry, but like everyone owns one, and that's how I felt about them. Like like in high school, like June or like freshman year of college, like everyone had one.
Yeah, well, and I'm not a car expert by any means. I did a little bit of research for this episode, and that's about it. But I know that there's like the Ford Mustang, and there's like the GT version, right? And I think my understanding is like the GT has like more power. It's more horsepower, and I presume that makes it more expensive. So I feel like
car.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of the Mustangs that you would see, what you're talking about, and I agree with you. I agree. Like that was kind of this, I guess the accessible sports car, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, because it was cheaper than like a Camaro or a Corvette for sure. And it still has the horsepower that you need to be considered, I guess, a sports car. But it's just more accessible to like your normal everyday person, and that's why it was so common.
Yeah.
No one had like a souped up Mustangs or anything. They had like the normal base version, because I think the base version was like 25,000 or something like that. And everyone's like, "Oh, this is so cool." It's like, dude, like I spent like half of what you did on that, and my car's like twice as good as yours. It's a Camry. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So, so that's pretty much it. I don't know if you have any other random facts, or if you want to jump in.
Not.
You want to jump into my hoopty?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So Sir Mix-a-Lot. A lot of people, I think, know him based off of the song "Baby Got Back," but he obviously had more songs than just that one. He was not a one-hit wonder. He has had other songs. He had influences in other places throughout his career, and Baby Got Back was actually off his third album. Actually, I believe it was his third album. And My Hoopty was off his second studio album. So first off, this was in the era of green screens, and the music video is phenomenal. It is your typical 80s music video with like green screen usage and people dancing around and stuff. So make sure you check it out just for the nice 80s nostalgia. If you were not around in early 90s, getting used to like the 80s stuff, or before the early 90s, maybe you're a 2000s baby or something, go check it out. It's great stuff. So getting into it. God, I'm about to sneeze. This is going to be awful. Sorry. Okay. Thank you. All right, get into it. So Sir Mix-a-Lot just starts talking about his hoopty. If you don't know what a hoopty is, I'll school you on some education. It's a car. It's not really schooling you on any education. I know. It's just a car. So he's talking about his car, basically. So he starts off he starts off talking about how his tailpipe's dragging, the heat don't work. It's a 1969 Buick, and he's got one hubcap because the other three got stolen. So he's painting a real good picture that this car is kind of trash. I'm just gonna say it out loud. Like, most people wouldn't call a nice car a hoopty. Hoopty is usually like a more busted car.
Yeah, and if you watch the video, that's pretty clear.
Yep. You know, his bumper is shook loose. Let's see, he's got mismatched tires. and like he went like in the video they show it, but he talks about like his friends, like they get in his car, they're eating like food in his car, got the quarter pounder, throwing the pickles on the rug, just disgusting on the inside. His tabs are expired. Let's see. Yeah, girls try to diss my car, say it looks tired. So he's not having any of that. He's got a tinted back window with a bubble in the middle. So if you ever had tinted windows, you have to. It's kind of like the film that you put on your phone case or on your phone that protects the screen. So you got to put it on perfectly. You got to smooth it out, get the bubbles out. But he's just got a big giant bubble in the back of his window that it just doesn't look good.
No.
So, and then he talks about whose car is this, Posse won't say, but he gets into it. He says it's by Hoopty. So it is his car. It definitively is Sir Mix-a-Lot's car. And then he continues to go on about his car. And it's a 4-door Nightmare. Trunk lock's stuck. He's got the big dice in the mirror. If you don't remember the big like fuzzy dice in the mirror,
it reminds me of the Austin Powers movie.
Yeah, Austin Powers is a perfect example.
And then there's what's the line, call for something.
I think, I don't know if you've seen the trucks that have like the ball sack that's hanging from the trailer hitch.
Yes.
Have you seen those? I feel like dice were like the 80s version of that. Just dice all on everyone's. I see it on like everyone's truck nowadays, the ball sack thing.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it's the precursor to that.
Yeah. See, something on the left front wheel keeps clicking. Like, man, like if I had to drive a car like that, I would be scared for my life. You know, anytime I hear a noise in my car, I like freak out. I'm like, oh man, I gotta take it to the auto shop now. By the way, I don't have time to fix my own car. I'm not good enough for that. I can change my brakes and change my oil. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, cars nowadays too are so complex with the number of electronics and everything in them.
Yeah, I don't want to screw it up more than it already is. But get into the second verse. All right, he talks about cars barely moving. His ex-girlfriend shot out his headlight, so he bashed the pedal and ran her over. I mean, I guess at that point it doesn't really matter if you hit her because your car's already so messed up. What's another dent gonna be?
Except for her, but yeah.
Yeah, except for her. So all right. So if you get mad at someone, please do not run them over. I'm not saying that it's okay to run someone over with your car because that is actually against the law and it's attempted murder. So please do not do that. Go to like marriage counseling or just like a couples counselor or something like that. You don't need to run them over. Get a peer mediator. That's what I'm saying. All right, yeah. Flip the skis off. Dub girl starts crying. Well, that makes sense because she got ran over by a car, and then she called the cops. Anyways, they keep going. Some young punk flips them off, and then they stop the car, and then someone on the south side goes and gets hurt. So they just basically flipped them off, and then they got beat up by his posse. So turns out, don't be a dick to people, especially when you're by yourself and you don't know them, because you don't know what other people are going to do. Public service announcement. Be nice. All right. So they get back in their car. They keep going, riding real fast. So this line talks about he's got mismatched tires, which you already mentioned. He's got 2 Vogues on the left and a Uniroyal on the right. So Vogues and Uniroyal are 2 different types of tires, and they look different. And from what I got is basically if you have mismatched tires, usually as an indicator for like cops to kind of pick up on you. It's not really saying that they are, but those are like types of things that are going for. Like if you ever read the study on red cars are the most picked up by cops because they are seen as going faster because red is a faster color. It's a study. Don't believe me? I don't know. Just look it up. I might be wrong. I might get on a false sense.
I've actually never heard that.
Just indicators.
Yeah, I've always heard that it affects your insurance rates. I hadn't heard it from the speeding ticket.
What, the red car thing?
Yeah.
I think it affects your insurance rates because people see red cars as like the cars that you would be like sports cars where people go faster and things like that.
That would be a logical correlation.
Yeah. And while colors cannot be faster than each other, I think it's just the idea, like the psychological idea that someone in a red car is going to drive more recklessly and faster than someone in a not red car.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's just it's their perception or people's perception of it.
Yes.
Yeah,
so that's just kind of some of the indicators that like cops are looking for, and that he kind of touched on also. One of my favorite lines is, this is what I sport when you call me big headed, a pothole crusher, red light rusher. First off, so he's from Washington. I'm not actually sure how bad the roads are, but I know growing up in Detroit, like the roads are significantly terrible there. They're not in the top 10 list in the country or anything, but they're probably close to that. And if it's anything like that, yeah, you're going to crush the potholes with your car driving around.
I feel like that's just a problem with like inner city roads in general. Like
people here in Connecticut complain about how crappy the roads are and everything. I'm like, look, man, these roads here are like immaculate compared to Michigan, Detroit roads. And
yeah.
The people here have no room to complain. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, because I've driven on some roads in like DC or Richmond before that are just atrocious. But anyway.
Yeah. Red light rusher, once again, PSA, public service announcement. Don't run red lights because it's illegal.
And you risk injury.
You'll get tickets, or God forbid, you might kill someone.
Or yourself. Or both.
Yeah, or both, yeah. And he even says in the next line that he's plowing over suckers. So he obviously has no care of this car.
I mean, to be fair, and this goes into his next line, this thing's a 3-ton monster. I mean, like, this thing was a beast. It was not a car you wanted to have a run in with.
Yeah, he said it was a 1969 Buick.
Yeah, like 1969 Buick Electra 225. Quick pop quiz for you, Greg. What did it retail for?
$6,800. Oh, I just looked it up. It's $4,800.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it actually weighed 4,300 pounds, so not quite 3 tons. More about 2 tons.
Yeah.
But still a heavy car. Like you got that thing coming at you.
Well, and you don't know. I mean, you got to think too. There's a number of people in it, so maybe like with all the added weight.
Yeah, I think he says somewhere in here that there's 8 people in the car.
Oh, there you go. There's your other.
So
half a ton to a ton.
Yeah. But let's just assume they all look like they're pretty big dudes there in the car. So like you got 200 pounds per person. That's 1,600 pounds. That's like another ton. Sure. Yeah. I could buy it.
Close enough.
Yeah.
It rounds up.
So I'm not sure how he's going to do this, but he says he's going to snatch your girly. But let's be honest, that car, man, come on. That's not helping you at all. The cop says the car is smoked, but he won't listen. It's 6.9 deuce, so the hell with emissions. So cars, I guess, prior to, I think it was 1970, did not meet Washington emission laws.
Yeah.
So any car before that did better what did. It was just kind of bad on that end. So he keeps talking about how he's rolling through different areas. He says he's thinking I'm a rock star slinging them packets. So that's actually him talking about selling drugs. So selling rocks and slinging them packets. And then he keeps talking about just he hits the I-5 with the dope cassette. So he hits the highway with a good music playing, trying to find a spot where he could hunt for sex. So he found a little club called the NCO. So NCO, if you don't know, means non-commissioned officer in the military. And from what I've found, this NCO refers to the Fort Lewis NCO, which was also the Fort Lewis Officers Club that was formerly located in Tacoma, Washington at Fort Lewis. And so when he was talking about military and competition, that he was actually referring to military.
Interesting.
He's not really phased because he has a lot of game rolled up. Talk about his name is Mix-a-Lot. And then kind of going into the next verse where he talks about he's running out of gas, he's stuck in traffic, he's in the far left lane, and then his carburetor's full of soot. Like this thing's falling apart basically throughout the whole song. It's sputtering, the car's kind of dying because it's low on gas and tank's on E. And then the cops come up to him also, and he's talking about how he doesn't look anything like Noriega. And if you don't know who Noriega is, he was a politician, military officer in Panama. And then I just lost where I was at. And then the cop takes all their licenses and says that they all look like Tyson, which is, I don't know, my opinion, that's pretty racist. Just saying all black people look the same.
Yeah, that was my take on that too.
but if you watch the video, I think they're kind of getting the statement of like it's a white cop just kind of saying they all look the same.
Yeah,
I feel like that was pretty common in 80s, early 90s hip hop music, and I would say still now today. So guy got his little political statement in there, if you want to call it a political statement.
Yeah, but he did it in a humorous way.
Yeah.
Which was,
yeah. And then from there, he's let go, and that's the story of his hoopty.
Basically, telling his story of his ride through this hunk of a piece of steel.
Yeah, try to run people over and stuff. So there weren't too many facts on this one. This was off his second album, came out in 1989. The song did chart at 49 on the Hot R&B and Hip Hop songs and number 7 on Hot Rap songs. So it did fairly well in its time. And like I said, he's not a one-hit wonder. I think a lot of people, at least that I interact with, don't know anything about rap music anyways, or hip hop or R&B or anything.
Right.
So I just don't think they're like some people I talked to thought the Anaconda song, I don't know if you've heard that, by Nicki Minaj, was like, that was the first time they heard Baby Got Back, and that's the first time they ever heard of Sir Mix-a-Lot. And I was like, no, this dude's like, he's from way back.
Yeah, I can't say that I'd ever heard this song before, but I've definitely heard the phrase like my hoopty and knew that it referred to a car. So I don't know if that's a phrase that he coined with this song, or if that was a common phrase prior. But it's definitely something that I had heard of before.
Yeah, so I just looked it up really quick. The assertion that hoopty first appeared as a slang in the African American community would fit with popularization of the term in a number of rap and hip hop songs, most notably the 1990 My Hoopty by Sir Mix-a-Lot. So,
So he's the one that really kind of,
but I also found on Urban Dictionary that dates back to the 1950s.
Okay. So it sounds like it was a phrase that was around, but he's the one that really kind of brought it into the pop culture mainstream.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
So
that's a pretty cool legacy.
Yeah. Aside from that, I didn't have really anything crazy about his song. I thought it was a fun listen. It's a lot more fun to watch the music video. So if you're like me or some other people, I like music videos. So I'll like pop on YouTube and like play a game, have the music video playing and watch the music video while I'm playing a game or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think you know, I don't know if we haven't really done this much in our last few episodes, but you know, comparing the two songs, you know, I think that both songs, if you think about the stories they tell, it's literally about people just riding around in their car.
Yeah.
that's
very different takes on it.
Yeah.
And very different tones to the song.
Yeah. But it's the same, they're just riding in your car.
Yeah.
So,
well, in one, the Sir Mix-a-Lot is saying like, I don't care, I'm gonna run you over. While in the other one, Sally's going too fast or however you interpret it, and the guy is saying, hey, you actually need to slow down. So I feel like the Mustang Sally is more of a PSA and public service announcement. Sorry, I keep saying PSA. Some people don't know what that means. And Sir Mix-a-Lot is more like, I don't care. I'm going to live my life like I want to live my life.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So, but no, I agree. They were both fun songs, and they were fun to listen to.
Yeah.
So, makes you want to go for a joyride.
I did enough driving today. I'm like exhausted. I worked out yesterday. I just got back into working out, so I was like dead yesterday, and I had to get up at 5 this morning and get into work to do some training in the morning. I'm exhausted. I don't need to get in the car again.
All right.
But
well,
Matt, did you have anything else for the songs?
No. Like I said, fun songs,
okay.
And it's good to be back in a new year.
Yeah, I just wanted to add before we get into anything, I'd like to make a shout out to Secret Lab. So I talked to Matt about this. I talked to a couple other people. I wanted a new chair. My chair was falling apart and was uncomfortable. So I just bought the Secret Lab Omega chair. I got the fabric weave one, and amazing, just simply amazing. I would sleep in this over my bed if my wife would let me. It's so comfortable, and you know,
and I've got the cookies and cream
lines. It goes up and down. You know, like it's got everything that you need, and it definitely supports you too. And this chair is actually quite big. So like, I mean, if you go by their like specifications online, like you'll definitely fit in their chair. Like it's very good. It's got lumbar support. And that's how I know I'm old, is because I care about the lumbar support.
There you go.
So,
and congratulations, like you all just listened to our first ad, and we weren't even paid for it.
And we're not paid for it. We're not associated with Secret Labs at all. So just want to throw that out there. I just got this chair like 2 days ago, and I love it. It is so good. And I'd also like to say, you know, it's 2021, new year, new me, got the mustache. So just deal with it. I know it's going to scare away a lot of our viewers, but, you know, got to do it. Got to love the mustache. It's my way of sticking it to the man, because I'm not allowed to have a beard. So this is all I can have.
Is that a military role?
Yeah, military. I can't have a beard, so I can have a mustache, just can't have the beard.
All right, Greg. Well, what do we got lined up for next week? What's our theme?
So we're gonna talk about some pets, but more specifically, we're gonna talk about dogs.
Yes.
So we're gonna actually have a guest on our show next week as well. It's going to be our friend Claire, and she has her dog Cooper that is going to be joining us. And with that, I'm going to be discussing George Clinton's Atomic Dog. Not a very in-depth song, but man, that's a wild music video. So make sure you check that out. And Matt, what do you have?
We're gonna do. It's called. The song is called "It's Just a Dog" by Mo Pitney. Now I'll tell you, when you listen to this song, it is a country song. It is a tearjerker, but I love the song. It really gets at the heart of man's best friend and that whole concept. So give it a listen. Great song. I think Claire. We're actually going to try to do 3 songs. We're going to have to move quickly, but Claire's going to try to talk about Who Let the Dogs Out. Because how can you do an episode about dogs and not talk about Who Let the Dogs Out?
I think we'll be able to get through it. They're not super in depth with the meanings and everything, other than hey, it's about dogs.
So, all right. Well, till next time, be sure to hit subscribe wherever you listen, and yeah, have a great week.
Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.